Belwar Disengulp. Furble. King Schnick-Tack? Tic-Tacs. Svardolves. Deep Gnomes. Let's talk about Sverniblins. This is going to be a tough one. Let's just go with Deep Gnomes. Deep Gnomes, or Dark Gnomes, not to be confused with Dark Dwarves, Dugger Dwarves? Duragar. I think it's Duragar. The Underdark is weird. They're essentially drow gnomes, where the drow became kind of the apex predators of the humanoid variants in the Underdark. The Deep Gnomes doubled down on their magic and became the best at being not prey. Would that make them reverse drow or like inverse drow? Square root of a drow. Wait, does that make sense? They're super good at hiding and not being found. Then again, that's kind of true for anything that lives in the Underdark. Because, I mean, like, if you go in the Underdark, you'd better be pretty good at hiding, otherwise everything is going to try to eat you. I mean, going in there is kind of a bad idea regardless, unless you want to get eaten by a roper, or a cloaker, or literally one of any of the dozens of things that live in the Underdark and will eat you. I might be getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about stats. For the most part, they are gnomes. Whether you're playing Pathfinder or Dungeons & Dragons, they are essentially small, get bonuses on either dexterity or intelligence, and have an innate spell resistance that results in them either getting a +2 to all saves or just advantage, respectively. Like gnomes, they have great dark vision and are very slow. That's where Deep Gnomes start really diverging. First off, Deep Gnomes have perfect dark vision. They can see perfectly fine in the dark up to 120 feet. And that's some like cheat code level dark vision. Did you bring a torch? Yeah, I don't need one. I can essentially see through walls. I hate you. Normally, this is where I'd say, haha, just kidding, but it's kind of true. This is where I would say that the Deep Gnomes kind of doubled down on their gnome traits. Gnomes are notorious tinkerers and attuned to the ways of magic, but Deep Gnomes have really focused in on tinkering with rocks and being attuned to the dark. I shit you not, their specialty is darkness and rocks. Cold stone gnomes. Cold stone gnomes. Yep, you really don't want to know what they milk down here to make the ice cream. It's beetles. So not only are they super good at seeing in the dark, they can essentially make themselves invisible from being detected by magical means, as well as getting advantage on stealth as long as they're around rocky environments. I kind of see this as them pulling a Dutch from Predator and just like slathering mud and shit all over themselves until you can't see them. But I assume that they're not actually covered in mud, they're just magically mudding themselves up so that they can't be seen by the heat vision of the Predator. Look it up, it's a good movie. And on top of that, they have the ability to once per day cast blindness, deafness, blur, and disguise self. And I did say and. You gotta do each of those things one time. That's pretty awesome. And if that isn't a kit that just says bluff, maim, or cheese your way out of any situation, I don't know what else to tell you. If you've ever wanted to play like a super tiny dwarf, small Gimli, this might be the way to do it. Because the only thing they love more than rolling around in the dirt is actually talking to it. I guess that's not really a dwarf thing, but they do get the stone's cunning like dwarves do, and that basically lets you have advantage on noticing shitty stonework or disturbances in rocks getting tossed wildly at enemies, which could be useful for finding doors or traps or something, but if that fails, you could always just swap out the blurry illusory magic for the stone seer traits, and then you can quite actually just ask the stone who donked up the crown molding. And that is a real thing. You get access to the spell Stone Tell, Stone Shape, and Magic Stone, because like who doesn't love talking to rocks, right? I mean, that's great. I do think if you go this route, as you level, you could gain access to things like Meld with Stone, say after level 5, or something to that effect, but you'd have to talk to your DM about that. And you could always get that through like being a cleric or a wizard, just allowing to get stone magic. And that would make a lot more sense if you looked at them as Svardolves than Dark Gnomes, because I honestly like that comparison. If you go the Dresden route, they look kind of like gray aliens, which is a little weird, but elves, dwarves, and gnomes, grays, I mean, the idea of them just small with huge eyes, I think is really cool. At the end of the day, I think taking the Stone Seer trait is really the way to go with these gnomes anyways. Stone Tell, Stone Shape, and Magic Stone are all really unique utility spells that a lot of people won't take. I mean, if you just want to throw a rock at somebody instead of trying to look like a rock, that's pretty great. Who knows? Who knows? Get out there and roll in some mud. You know or don't. I'm not your mother. Hell, you could probably just play as a rock elemental and have just as much fun. And not have to be milking beetles and stuff all day. Kind of gross. Or delicious. Do they sell beetle milk? I mean, they sell almond milk. I don't know how you milk an almond. I suppose as long as it's not goblin milk, you're probably fine. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for supporting us on Patreon. Without your support, we would not be able to keep this channel going, so I thank you all very much from the bottom of my heart. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Share this video. Get everything up off the ground. We're on our way to 10K. We'll probably do something special for that. I've been working on some other projects, and I've been sick for the last few weeks, so we are finally ramping back up. We're going to be doing a lot of videos upcoming here soon, I hope. So if you do have suggestions for videos, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. Keep on, keep it on. We are doing live streams on Twitch 3 times a week, as well as doing the viewer suggestion on Wednesdays here on YouTube. Feel free to follow us on Twitch if you do want to see some behind-the-scene art things and discussions about some of these videos. If you have a suggestion, make sure you put that in the comments down below. You're also very welcome to join the Discord if you have any cool stories or have you ever played a Sverniblin, blah, 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 blah. Thanks again for watching. Keep your dice on the table, and remember... Turns out being sick and making videos is kind of tough. I blame the beetle milk.